I was under the impression that Jesus existed. So having this debate, did Jesus exist? I think you guys are both in agreement with this. So like, I think it's really you're trying to convince me if Jesus didn't exist or not. I know that Jesus of Nazareth, there's two different Jesus of Nazareths, and they're both in the Talmud mentioned in two different places. I always thought that this meant that one of them was the Jesus of Nazareth that the Christians are always talking about, and it's one of the proofs of Jesus and one of the things that bind Christians to the Talmud. If I'm wrong, I think this is a great place to start the debate. Did Jesus exist, Rabbi Mizrahi?
Okay, so, the Talmud speaks about a person named Yeshua, which was a common name in those days, Yud, Shin, Vav, and Ayin. And they describe a person that was learning by a big rabbi named Rav Yoshua ben Farchia. He was in yeshiva, and the rabbi kicked him out of the yeshiva. And that's the story that appears in the Talmud. The problem is that the JC that the Christians present and the JC that the Talmud speaks about have about 150 years difference in their time. So it cannot be that they're talking about the same famous JC. Now, when you go to the New Testament, right, when they describe the genealogy of Joseph the carpenter, right? They try to link him all the way to King David, because in the Torah, which is the Old Testament, and they claim that God gave part 2, which is a continuation of the 24 books of Judaism, right? Judaism starts with Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, and then you have the book of Joshua and the Kings and the prophets, and it goes all the way to King Solomon, the Songs of Songs, all together 24 books. Then came the Christians, and they claimed that God gave them another book, which is the New Testament, which is the evangelist, Mark, Matthew, Luke, and John, those, and then they have additional parts, which is the Acts, that they have additionals to the New Testament, and the New Testament is trying to continue from where Judaism left, and they say that God gave part 2. Now, when you review in the beginning of Christianity, they try to prove that Joseph the carpenter is a grandson of King David. So they describe the story that Joseph, in Hebrew it's Yosef, just like my name, Yosef. It's a very common name. In Arabic they say Yusuf, in Farsi they say Yusuf, but it's the same name.
In English it's Joseph.
Joseph, yeah. So they figure it from the Torah. So he meets Miriam, which is another Jewish woman. They get engaged. They have a chuppah, like a Jewish wedding, as you all know. Once the husband, the bride, and the groom is under the chuppah, he puts the ring on her finger. They officially are now married, but the conclusion of the act of the marriage is intimacy. But in the old days, the custom was that he would go away and come back after a few months with some money that he made. And now they're building their own homes. Now remember, to build a home wasn't like today. You need 2 years to build a home. They take some wood, build a house, cover it with tar, insulation, whatever they can do, and you have a house. So he comes back after a few months and he sees she's pregnant. And he asked her, what did you do? And she said, I didn't cheat. God came to me in a dream and made me pregnant, and this boy will be somebody holy, and all. So that's the story. Now, just before that, they tried to link Joseph the carpenter to King David. Why? Because in the Torah, it's written Messiah, son of David. So it cannot be just a righteous Jew. It has to be a righteous Jew that comes from the family of King David. If he will be just a righteous Jew from a different family, he can never be the Messiah. For instance, if he's going to be a righteous Jew that his last name is Levi, it's from the tribe of Levi. It can never be the Messiah. Or a Cohen, someone that his last name is Cohen, that means from the tribe of the Kohanim. It cannot be the Messiah. So it has to be from the family of King David. And now when they describe
from the family of King, let's just be clear, okay? From the King family. It has to be King
David, because God
from the King family.
God promised King David that his kingdom will return and the Messiah will come. Okay, so now when they describe the genealogy of King David all the way to Joseph the carpenter, in two of the books of the evangelists, they have 22 mistakes. 22 mistakes. There is a description who gave birth to who. In one book, it describes a list. You go to another book, which is from the same God according to them. 22 different names, different order, complete mess up. So now, imagine now in a book, in the Torah, in one place it would say that Abraham gave birth to Isaac, Isaac gave birth to Jacob, Jacob gave birth to Joseph, Joseph gave birth to Ephraim, and then you go to another chapter in the Torah and it say Abraham gave birth to Joshua, Joshua gave birth to Ezra, Ezra gave birth to Isaac, Isaac gave birth to Joseph, complete mess up. A normal intellectual that reads such nonsense can believe another minute that this is a divine book. In a divine book, do you have such human errors? It's ridiculous. It's something like this. You have in the same book a description, and then of over 30 generations, all the way from King David to Joseph the carpenter, and you have 22 mistakes, different names, different order, complete. So what? God doesn't know who gave birth to Joseph the carpenter, who was his grandfather and a great-grandfather, that in one place it describes one name and on another page it describes completely different names. So therefore, how JC came to the world to begin with, it's not clear, because it doesn't make sense. Either it's this one or none of them. Now the best part is, after they describe all this genealogy, they tell a story that Joseph went away, and when he came back, he see that his wife Mary, she's pregnant. And he asked her, how do you become pregnant? I never lay a finger on you. And she said to him, I didn't cheat. So according to Christianity, who is the mother of JC? Mary. Everybody saw where he came from, right? Who is the father? According to them, it's God. God is a grandson of King David? Why did you waste a whole page to describe that Joseph the carpenter is from the family of King David, regardless of all the mistakes? But the point was to prove that the father of JC is from the family of King David, and that's why JC can be the Messiah. But right after that, you say that he has nothing to do with the boy. He's not his biological father. And according to the Torah, the genealogy goes after the father. If your father is a Kohen, you are a Kohen. If your mother is coming from a family of a Kohanim, of a Kohen, you're not a Kohen. Everybody knows it. If your father is a Levi, you're a Levi. If my mother is a Levi, I'm not a Levi. I'm not acting as a Levi in a synagogue. So obviously you see, no matter how you look at it, this book, the chance that it was given by God is 0%. There's not even 0.01% chance that this book is divine. Because the book that is telling us everything we know about JC obviously is not from God, therefore we cannot rely on the story that JC even exists. I'll give you an example. Sometimes Christians come to me and say to me, what are you talking about? I had a dream last night about JC, talk to me, and this and this and that. I say, how did he look? They say he had long hair and a goatee, and they describe exactly the image of the statue in Brazil. You know the statue that they put on the mountain there in Brazil?
Right.
I say to the guy, don't be stupid. In the time of JC 2,000 years ago, not one Jew in the world would dare to grow long hair like a woman. It's against the Torah.
You look like me, right? Like all the Christians, they want Jesus to look like me.
One of the restrictions of the Torah, as you know, that a man is not allowed to look like a woman, not to dress like a woman, not to put jewelry over a woman, or not to have hair of the woman. So
and he wears robes too.
Do you think that JC 2,000 years ago, that was in a time that all Jews were extremely religious, and that he's going to have a hair like this and a goatee? Where did you ever see religious Jews that look like that? A serious one. So obviously this whole thing is based on a fairy tale. There is no evidence that it happened, but I give them the benefits of the doubt. When I debate them, I follow what they claim. And based on what they claim and based on their book, the New Testament and the Evangelist and the Acts, I prove to them that those books are full of human errors, full.